the muscle memory to just do what he does every day in and out.
And then
And still be,
if you go another level higher and you have me, like you don't even need to practice, and it doesn't really matter how much games you play. You're just always gonna win.
okay, so in the top right, we have Heartland Hitman's Sick, our yellow Protoss player.
And in the bottom left, we have our Zerg bringing on the regicide, taking down the king. It is KingSlayer, and I'm now 5-1. You need to start picking better picks, man.
Man, oh man, or I need to start picking people that are better.
Oh wow, actually, big blunder by Sick. He's actually getting his pylon at 8 supply. So maybe just a little bit rattled right here.
Maybe. Um. oh, oh man. Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the biggest deal. It's only going to make him about like one worker behind, maybe in a minute or so. But it is a sign. It's one of those things that you should never miss. It's like the Zerg accidentally building the Overlord at 10. Like, it's one of those things that you only miss if you're not on top of your game. And it's one of those also psychological things. Like, you look, you're just like, did I really just make my pylon at 8 supply?
Or maybe it was an intentional eight pylon. It's like a 6 pool for Zerg. It's just an 8 pylon for Protoss.
Yeah, or do you remember when our friend Steven, who maybe you guys know as Mamini, but he doesn't really play that much anymore, he used to do this build in ZVZ where he would build an Evo chamber in your base because he would be convinced that when he killed it, the broodlings would do enough damage.
Mamimi was a fantastic Zerg player.
You're just shilly with his skills.
His name is Steven, and I like to refer to him as Stevano, as he is the foreign Zerg hope.
I am very famed for beating Steven with a build where I went nothing but Thors and TVZ, just Thors and SCVs. That was a very fun game. I did Thor drops. It was very nice.
Oh, you mean Normandy beach drops?
No. That's where you build the barracks on the low ground and bring it up. But this was just pure Thors. I also, one game? Oh my god, this is so long ago. But I actually did. Do you know how I always joke about how people don't know you can get land Vikings and load them up into medevacs?
That's
fantastic. I actually beat him with that. I was really proud.
That's fantastic. Okay, so moving on to the builds, we have another pretty standard game from KingSlayer. It does look like Sick has abandoned his Naniwan-ness in favor of a very, very safe Forge Fast Expand.
And really interesting, it's weird because he just died to a Roach Push, and if you look at how Sick's buildings are set up, he'd actually just die to another Roach Push. Like the way these pylons are, they'd get sniped off and killed immediately. So it almost looks like maybe he's predicting the one and done, but oh my goodness, he's going to do it again.
Oh, man. But this time it'll be on 2 base, it looks like.
He might just cancel it a little bit later. He might have seen through his last ruse, which last time he was banking a ton of minerals, and he might be like, I'm going to let this hatchery go out a little bit longer, fake it a little bit harder. Maybe Sick, for once, will scout. It doesn't look like he will, and it's actually hurting him a lot. And maybe, I said that they don't play each other a lot. Maybe they do. Maybe KingSlayer just knows that Sick likes to play standard all game, doesn't like to scout, and he realizes it's late in the day, and he's just going to cheese.
And he has canceled it late. You were correct. So we will see another one. This time he's opting to take Ling Speed, which I think is a fantastic decision for him. He needs to get those Lings. Like you said earlier, they're the reinforcements.
Sorry, go ahead. Being BM again.
They're the reinforcements for your army when you make a push like that.
Yeah, it's very true.
There is, in fact, not a hatchery. Wherever Tross's camera is, we can see this.
He's pinging it just to make sure.
Okay.
I just want to point out that, if anything was going to go through that choke, it's possible that that first Overlord could develop blindness. So he's got that second one there, just in case the first Overlord doesn't see it coming through.
Very true.
Super
very true.
He's got this one Roach in the pack too. It looks like he's going to have 5 Roaches and another 1, 2 coming out in a huge swell of lanes. So he's going to be really aggressive here.
He has 7 Roaches on the field now with 2 in production, so he'll have 9.
Yes, and like I said, this wall is really going to suck for Sick. Like, no pun intended, but he's just going to break down the pylons and this game's going to be over. Like, he has no ranged units either.
Very true. He could build another pylon to block permanently with the pylon and then make a cannon, but that won't work because it's roaches and lings.
Yeah, like he's so confident, he actually moved the Overlord in, saw that, he like snickered to himself and moved it back out.
He's like, oh, and the Zealot let the lings in.
Yeah, and he actually focused the cannon too. That's going to go down even quicker. And this is... Did Sick come from the winner's bracket, or did he come from the losers?
I believe he came from loser's bracket.
So this just might be it right here. I don't know how he's going to deal with this.
I don't either. He's making 2 stalkers in the mothership corner. Hopefully we'll cancel that +1 attack on the forge before...
And once again, hero mothership corner.
Yeah, the hero mothership course's last Protoss hook here. These 2 stalkers will not do much against this army.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. It's something I noticed about my own play, about a lot about like pre-masters level Protosses. A lot of them do this thing where they think that they're safe to these kind of openings just because they never see them. Oh, thank you, Evercross. But like, because they never see like an opening like this, they just assume that, oh, I only need like one zone, one cannon, and I'll just like scout it and see it otherwise. A lot of times you don't, because like you're the 10th game of the ladder session, like. He is now actually like nice holding the game, doing as much damage as he can. But what really ends up happening is if the Zerg micros correctly and like stays calm, they're gonna completely demolish your force. And like I used to like do like there was a stage where I would just bling bust off 3 bases, like at 12, 20 drones, every single game in ZVP because every Protoss would build like 1 stalker and 1 sentry and then just like stop building units until they got up like 6 gates. And it
Sick might be able to hold this.
He might, that's very true. He lost his natural though. And oh, a Ninja Expo from KingSlayer. This is actually good.
It is, but you know, there's what is this? 20 lings? Not even. Excuse me. What is?
He needs a sentry right now.
Yeah, he has 12 lings and 3 roaches, and Sick has 4 stalkers out. I mean, if he makes a sentry, if he makes a zealot, he'll be okay, and he's going into Stargate, which is acceptable for 1 base. He could just transition into a Void Rail, but he'll see, King will see it.
And he's going to clean up these lanes. They'll get 2 stalkers, which will be a nice trade. He should have microed those a little bit better, but he will clean them up. And the important thing is, from a strategical aspect, Sick is probably a little bit ahead, and he could have even made a push. But from the psychological aspect, you still see that he's banking 800 minerals, and he just doesn't really know what to do with it. He wants to expand, he wants to move on, but he doesn't feel like he can. He actually can now, but he's so afraid to move down that ramp.
Very true. Yeah, King appears to be pretty done with his attacking here, except for 2 lings who are absolute heroes and will... Okay, they're gonna stop before. They're just gonna scout for that natural, but... Yeah, Sick, like you said, banking. He's, I can only imagine that he's incredibly tired after his day today, that, he's incredibly worn out. Keep in mind he was also trying to organize this tournament.
Yeah,
sure. So he's been doing a lot. So, like you said, he's probably very tired. Maybe he'll try to make a push here. If he does, I think he'd be okay in doing it.
Yeah. I mean, like, I've been dissing all the players all day and making fun of that double overlord at the natural and stuff, but it's very important to notice just, like, what the players had to go through this day. They're only this far because they are better than all the other players that were playing today. And they've all been playing very well. It looks like, Sick just might be, like, one of those I'm done tilted moments. He might just be pushing out across the map to end the game. All that money he saved up is going to go into Void Rays, and he will be able to make an extremely strong timing, but it's already a 16 worker deficit, and his opponent's on 3 bases, so he needs to go quick, and he needs to end the game in 1 swift motion.
And KingSlayer not even really using that proxy hatch. It's just kind of there.
Yeah, I felt like he was really smart, and he wanted to do something with it, but then he realized he didn't have the drone count to support it yet.
But he could be droning it right now, and instead it's just kind of...
Yeah, well, he sees that KingSlayer... he sees that Sick didn't have a natural, and I think that's why he was avoiding it, but now alarms are blaring in his head because he sees 3 Void Rays and a bunch of units moving out, and he has nothing to deal with those Void Rays. He's got 4 lings and 4 roaches and 2 spines. None of those units are going to hurt the Void Rays. He needs to, like, mass some queens right now, but the problem is that hatchery's in his main, that proxy hatch. He has a macro hatch to make queens, but because it's across the map, that queen that's popping out isn't going to do anything.
Right, he is making 6 Hydras, but not really going to do much. If Sick leads, instead of letting this, oh man, don't let them hit your stalkers, just lead with your Void Rays. If he leads with those, okay, so he'll have the buffer of the Zealots, he'll have the Void Rays. I honestly think he'll win.
Yeah.
I think this is...
And this was a huge misstep. It's one of those things where you're like, Protoss is just going to expand and be really far behind. But the thought never crosses your mind, what if he doesn't? Like, what if he just keeps going? And the Zerg, I mean, he even had the Hydras coming out, you're right, but it's not going to do anything. Like, 5 Hydras can't even kill that many Void Rays when they're uncharged.
Yeah. Sick will have a little bit of time where he has to wonder where the proxy hatch is, if King decides to let this continue going. I'm not sure he will, though. This is kind of that point of no return where if you're a Zerg player and you see that you're on what amounts to one base, you just GG like that.
And unfortunately, KingSlayer was not Hippie Corpo, and he did not have 24 mutas, so that game was not going to him.
Very true.